News is beginning to circulate that on Tuesday, the 11th of November, which is tomorrow at the time of recording, Nico Hulkenberg is going to be announced for Haas next season, that they have some details in the contract to just finalise and work out, but then he is going to get announced. This obviously sees Mick Schumacher out of a seat for next season. So I just thought I'd take a little moment to talk about Mick Schumacher, what his possibilities are, and a little bit about Nico Hulkenberg, in case you're new to Formula One and you don't know much about him. So for Mick Schumacher, it seems like there are some options on the table, with Toto Wolff saying that he makes no secret that the Schumacher family belongs to Mercedes and he appreciates Mick very much. It's really thought that Mick might go into the reserve role now vacated by Nick de Vries as he joins AlphaTauri. I think this would be quite a decent move for Mick. It keeps him within the F1 paddock, and who knows what opportunities may arise. Another option which has been quite widely publicised is Mick potentially joining the Audi Formula One programme, which is still currently Alfa Romeo Sauber. And the thought is that the Audi German Mac might want a German driver within their ranks, but Audi have come out and said that their driver choices will be decided by the driver market, not by the nationality. But who knows, it could be a good fit in a few years if Mick does indeed go to Mercedes. But Nico Hulkenberg coming back onto the grid. I've been pretty vocal in my opinion that Mick should have more time. He's got an F2 championship, he's got an F3 championship, and I honestly think he's gotten better over the second part of 2022, but it seems like that's not going to happen now. So let's have a little look at Nico Hulkenberg. He's driven for Racing Point, which is now Aston Martin. You can see him in his Aston Martin gear there, as he's done a couple of substitute performances for them, for Perez when he had COVID, I believe, at Silverstone, and some others. And he also drove for Renault, being teammate to Carlos Sainz Jr. and Daniel Ricciardo. A career high of 7th position in the championship and generally around 10th place. He is what you would consider exactly a solid midfield driver. He has sort of rare appearances of actual raw pace where he does very well indeed, but generally you're looking towards sort of the lower end of the points or upper end of the not quite in the points with Hulkenberg. That's not a bad thing, because where Haas are now with the cost cap and everything like that, I think what they're plainly doing is just looking at Hulkenberg as a safe pair of hands. It's no secret that Mick Schumacher has crashed the cars, and I don't think it'd have been such an issue if we weren't in the cost cap era. I think it has been overblown to create a bit of a narrative. Unfortunately for Mick, the crashes he has had have been big, but the reality is he's had, I think it was 2 DNFs last year and 2 DNFs this year, which resulted in crashes that just happened to be massive and costly. You know, it's a bit different to going off and knocking a wheel off or a front wing, isn't it, if you totally wreck the car? And it is what it is. Nico Hulkenberg in 2015 won Le Mans with Porsche, which was a fantastic achievement. I made a lot of it at the time. I thought it was brilliant, and it showed how good of a driver Nico Hulkenberg is. You could have considered me sort of a casual fan, not go Nico, but I do remember being gutted at Hockenheim when he was driving for Renault, and it was raining, and he looked like he was finally going to get a podium, and he spun off, and it just wasn't to be. He boasts 1 pole position, which I believe was in his first season at Brazil, and 2 fastest laps, but generally, as I say, a solid midfield driver. Now, he hasn't had a full-time drive for 2 years. He's 35 years of age. The question is he going to have the pace? Is he going to have what Haas need? Probably a safe pair of hands. It'll be interesting to see how he squares up against Kevin Magnussen. I rate Magnussen, but he hasn't ever quite broken into that top elite tier, has Magnussen. But again, you'd probably consider Magnussen a very good midfield driver. But I'd love to know what you think. Is this a good move for Haas? Should they be doing this? Should they be bringing in Nico Hulkenberg? Do you think Nico Hulkenberg will surprise people? Do you think he'll outscore? Kevin Magnussen? And what do you think is next for Mick Schumacher? Please let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers, guys.